Violence in the workplace. Confrontations between coworkers. Introduction. Workplace violence is not always due to external threats, such as hostile customers or intruders. Factors such as stress, personal history, or even simple differences in opinion or personality type can cause coworkers to exhibit violent or potentially violent behavior toward others. To protect yourself and others, know the warning signs for violent behavior and how to respond if an incident occurs. Recognize warning signs. Remember that while it is important to recognize and report warning signs and behaviors that may lead to violence, try to avoid jumping to conclusions without sufficient evidence. Report signs of potentially violent behavior to a manager or the Human Resources Department. These signs may indicate problems that can be treated or managed with medication or therapy. Common traits. Increased drug or alcohol use. Less attention to personal appearance or hygiene habits. Resistance to changes in rules or procedures. Increase in severe mood swings. Unprovoked outbursts of anger and fury. Paranoid behavior. Talk about previous incidents of violence and show empathy for those who committed them. Common traits. Increased spontaneous conversations about firearms, other weapons, or violent crimes. Increased conversations about personal, financial, or domestic problems in the workplace. Increase in absences from work with imprecise or unjustified explanations. Feelings of depression or withdrawal. Repeated indifference to organizational policies. Unstable or excessively emotional reactions. Talk about suicide or preparing for death. Please note, this list only presents common signs of violent behavior. It is not a complete list, nor should it be used as a diagnostic tool. Zero tolerance. Work together with management to foster a culture of zero tolerance for violence in the workplace. Everyone is responsible for taking appropriate action when they become aware of violent incidents. Report signs of potentially violent behavior to a manager or the Human Resources Department. Violent incidents should be reported as soon as possible, even if no one was injured. Don't be afraid to report. Punishment or retaliation against people who report an incident is prohibited. Incident response. After an incident is reported, the organization must do the following. Take measures to protect victims of violence from further dangers. Implement appropriate corrective measures that are sufficient to prevent the abuse from happening again. Conduct a full investigation of the incident in an effort to determine measures to prevent similar incidents from happening again. Provide victims or witnesses of abuse with appropriate medical assistance, psychological support, and other forms of trauma care, as necessary. Follow Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and state reporting requirements for injuries, illnesses, and deaths resulting from violent incidents. Program components. The Workplace Violence Prevention Program will also include controls to minimize risk. For example, in order to assure that hazards are minimized and any incidents may be responded to in a timely manner, employers must create and maintain working relationships with landlords and facility managers, lessees, security, law enforcement, and emergency agencies. Employers must assure that on-site security personnel, if applicable, demonstrate competence in handling violent or potentially violent situations, including methods of diffusing situations or physically intervening if necessary. Record keeping. Employers will maintain the following records: reports of physical, verbal, emotional, or sexual abuse. Medical reports of injuries resulting from violent incidents. Analysis, investigations, and corrective actions taken regarding incidents. OSHA injury and illness records. Safety committee training and meeting minutes. Pertinent information about people with a history of violence. Recommendations from law enforcement and emergency agencies to prevent or respond to violent incidents. Implemented administrative or work practice changes in an attempt to reduce the risk of violent incidents. Summary. Workplace violence is any action that is intended to hurt or degrade other people in the workplace. Foster a culture of zero tolerance for violence in the workplace. Violent incidents should be reported as soon as possible, even if no one was injured. People prone to violent episodes may exhibit one or more warning signs before an incident occurs. Employees must know how to recognize danger signs, how to appropriately report incidents, who to contact, and when, and how to contact law enforcement or additional emergency agencies. Summary: employers must respond to incidents by taking steps to protect victims of violence from further dangers and implement appropriate corrective measures that are sufficient to prevent the abuse from happening again. The Workplace Violence Prevention Program includes procedures for handling incidents and controls to reduce risks. The program must be improved continuously. Employers must maintain all necessary records. Remember that any sign of violence, even if is minimal, must be reported to your immediate supervisor. We thank you for your attention.